everybody, it's Brooke. Today I am doing a read-a-thon. It's currently 9 o'clock and I plan on reading for about 8 hours, so kind of like a work day from 9 to 5. And so let's look at the books that I have on my TBR. Okay, so first up I have two books that I want to read on my iPad. The first one is Summer by Edith Wharton. The second one is The River Has Roots by Amal El-Mohtar. The next two are library books that I got at my public library. The first one is The Castle in Transylvania by Jules Verne. I am obsessed with Gothic literature, so I was just browsing the shelves and stumbled upon this, and so haven't really read anything about it or know anything about it, so excited to tackle this. My other library find is The House of Mirth by Edith Wharton. I'm on kind of an Edith Wharton kick. I first read last year Ethan Frome, which was amazing, like set in New England. Very good winter scenes, very nostalgic for some reason, even though the storyline is kind of a love triangle, but it was very good. So I know nothing about this. I saw it on the library shelf and I said, Edith Wharton? Okay, I'll give it a shot. The next book I have, I kind of started a couple weeks ago and then just never got the chance to finish it. It is The Way of the Bear by Hillerman. This is gained a lot of traction for being a really good mystery. There's also a TV show out right now on it, and so excited to wrap this up. And for my last book, I have The Danish Girl by David Ebershoff. So I got this book when I was like 16 and was super excited to read it, and for whatever reason did not read it at all. It just was left on my shelf. So I want to pick this back up and see what it's all about. Those are the books I have today, and the first one I'm going to read is Summer by Edith Wharton, just because it is July and it is very fitting and the story seems very, very interesting. And then after that, I will choose my second book. I just finished Summer by Edith Wharton, and I have to say I didn't love it as much as I thought I was going to. The beginning, probably the first half, was really good. I would say the imagery is amazing. Like, she does such a good job of describing and like the feeling that nature invokes, which is very lovely to read. The storyline was just a bit weird for me. I don't want to spoil anything, but yeah, it actually reminded me of The Painted Veil. I can't remember who that author is, but it definitely reminded me of The Painted Veil, kind of like a love triangle going on, which I now see as kind of a recurring theme in a lot of Edith Wharton's books. I mean, I've only read Ethan Frome and this one, but those two definitely both have love triangles. So yeah, I would say like I want to reread Ethan Frome. Like, that is going to be a book that I reread every winter. I know that is just so good. It is a very like comfort book for me, but this one is not a comfort book. I do not want to read this again. It made me very frustrated. I will say it's set in New England and it's set in the summertime, and it is a very well portrayed narrative of what summer is like in New England. Like, it talks about 4th of July and the village that they live in, and so that is very interesting to read about. And I really liked that, but again, the plot just I did not really like. It is 10 50. And so I am now going to pick out my second book for today. For the next book that I'm going to read, I'm going for The Castle in Transylvania by Jules Verne. I just think I need a palate cleanser after that last book. Like, it did not really sit well for me. So I know that if I get into a Gothic piece of literature, I know I'm gonna have a good time. I'm really interested to read about this because the back it says, before there was Dracula, there was the castle in Transylvania. So I'm interested to actually see if this is published before Dracula, because that would be very interesting. It was published in 1892. Yeah, so apparently Dracula by Bram Stoker came out in 1897. So this was published before that. So I wonder if Bram Stoker kind of used this as like the backbone for his story. That'd be interesting to research. Okay, I'm just reading up on some of the backstory behind this and if Bram Stoker kind of got the idea from Jules Verne, and it's not clear. Like, they both are talking about like the Carpathian Mountains, but they said that Bram Stoker's is more about like Eastern European folklore and this one is not. So that is very interesting and I am now so excited to read this. So I'm about a third of the way through The Castle in Transylvania, and I have to say it's taking me a considerable amount of time to get through this. I was just reading for 45 minutes and I thought I was going to be a lot further along in this. There's just a lot of exposition at the beginning, just setting the framework for kind of the storyline to take over. So that was very heavy and it felt kind of sluggish to read through that. And I think I have just come off of reading Powers of Darkness and I have Dracula on the mind, which this is not. So I was kind of going into it that it would be kind of the same storyline and it is totally different entirely, which is not a bad thing. It's just in my mind I was expecting that, so reading it has taken me a little bit of time to adjust to that. So the author kind of writes from like a narrative perspective. It's very humorous actually. I found myself laughing at times of what the narrator is saying, just explaining what the characters, like who the characters are, and he kind of humanizes them in a way which I feel is interesting. And the biggest difference that I'm seeing is that everyone believes, except for one person, the doctor, everyone believes in the supernatural in this story. Like they all think that something supernatural is going on up at the castle, which I find interesting because I feel like, I don't know, that this book was written in like the late 1800s. It's just kind of interesting to have that take and have that mindset of believing in the supernatural. I'm gonna take a break and eat my lunch. I have some chicken, some honey chicken and rice. And I was planning on reading during this, but I think I'm just going to take a break and kind of reset myself for after lunch, and then I'll continue reading. I am so excited because I just received a package, and of course it's a book, and it is Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell by Susanna Clarke. And I have been wanting to read this book for so long, and it is very thick. It's like 800 pages, but I've heard such good things about it, and I'm obviously not gonna read this today because I just have other stuff on my TBR, and I would definitely not finish this in one sitting or even one day or 1 week. So I am going to put this into my TBR pile at the bottom, but I am so excited to read this and I'm so glad it arrived. But for now, I'm going to jump back into the castle in Transylvania, and I'm probably gonna put on a record and just chill out in here and read this. I'm gonna go with this one today. I just finished the castle in Transylvania and the ending was so not what I was expecting. I guess I should have known, since Verne is kind of like science fiction-y, that it would kind of deviate from supernatural to, at that point in time, pretty unbelievable, but nowadays very believable. I know that's vague, but I don't want to spoil it if you end up reading this, but very, very clever and interesting. So not what I was expecting, like I said, but yeah, really enjoyed it actually. And I'm now going to start The River Has Roots. This is a pretty quick read. It's only like 80 or 90 pages, so it should be pretty quick and I'm excited to read it. I just finished The River Has Roots and oh my gosh, it was so good. It's definitely a 5-star read for me. It's very lyrical and poetic, and it's just about kind of sisterhood, and oh gosh, it was just so beautifully written, and I just have to like sit here and think about it for a little while. I have about 45 minutes left until my 8-hour readathon is over, so I think I am just going to read some of The Way of the Bear just because I'm already a little bit into it and I know I'm not gonna finish any of those other books within the time frame, so I'm just gonna work on this. Hello everybody, so I finished the readathon and it was so much fun. I read 3 books. In addition to the readathon, I wanted to do something fun at the end, so whenever I find a book that kind of has a rough cover, it's partially falling off, like at Half Price Books or something like that, or like at a charity shop, I will pick them up and I will rebind the covers. So I found a really beat up version of Great Expectations by Charles Dickens, which is a book that I've been wanting to read for so long. And so I rebound the book and it was a lot of fun. I do this for a bunch of books and I just have a really good time rebinding them and giving them a new home and new life. I also print out vinyl on the spine and the front cover just to kind of add some character into the book. So I have created a design and I am now going to show how I print it out and how I apply it to the cover. So I am up in my mom's office because she actually has the vinyl cutting machine and she just lets me borrow it, which is so very nice of her. So I'm going to pull up the Silhouette Studio application where I have created my vinyl book cover design. This is what the application looks like. I've already designed the book cover. I actually looked up a book cover and used some elements from it that I found interesting and created this design. I haven't read the book yet, so I had to rely on other people's art to create this book cover. And this one in particular I loved, so I used the fence line and the gravestones, and then I added it into silhouette, and then I used the trace tool with some minor adjustments to create the look I was going for. Then I created the spine and used the negative space of the fence to create the swirls in the middle of the spine, and then the details on the gravestones for the top. Here is the machine printing out my design. It took a relatively quick time despite how tiny and detailed the design was, and then I got to peel off all the vinyl that I didn't want, which is always very satisfying if not a little tedious. Then I got to paste the vinyl onto the actual book, and I think it turned out so great. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this readathon. I definitely want to do another one of these soon, and I will be doing a July reading wrap up review for all the books I read during this month, so be sure to check that out when it comes out. Thank you again. Have a great week, and bye!